your study. But unfortunately, I think some of you are writing mail after I have taken the class on Wednesday. So certainly I cannot do that. I take a class of one section and then cancel the others. And if you recall, I asked you categorically last week, if this is your exam week, so what will you do? Should we go for a lab test? Should we go for a regular class? So I think you said a regular class, right? So because if you have to reschedule, then you have to do it at least before the other sections class has taken place. So I hope there shouldn't be any problem. So how many of you have actually prepared for those Karnoff map, or even I think some of you, I'm sure that you must have. So I think most of you. Then I think maybe in just a few minutes time, yeah. So I think majority has already done. So if you are ready to submit, then I think maybe in 10 minutes time I will circulate that link where you can submit. So anyone who has completed the experiment, so any observation you'd like to tell us that, okay, here we find.
Sir, I had a couple of queries actually.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So first one is that I tried to make that digit E instead of that inverted T, like small t or whatever, but that was really tough. So will that be an issue?
No, because I think we have clearly mentioned that for this experiment, we consider that whatever is small t, that is basically hex code E, so that is acceptable. Okay. And I said some tricky solutions exist, but I think in your case, it doesn't work because your roll number contains 7. Otherwise, that D and A, tying them together might work.
Yeah.
So in your case, I think it won't work. But anyway, I think right now, I think with that T, we will be happy. So.
Okay.
You have already completed the simulation also, right?
Yeah, I've completed that. Yeah, so regarding that,
yes, please carry on. Go on.
I had another doubt. Like initially, I did not use any sort of buffer. I only used some NOT gates and the normal AND and all those gates. So because of those, because not using any buffers, there were a lot of glitches. Like when I was stepping the clock pulse, there were a lot of glitches and they were significant. So for that reason, I added a few buffers. So that will be okay, right?
That will be okay. Actually, in the lab, we even do not recognize them visually because of our persistence of vision. Here in simulator, I think it is just showing some steps of maybe several hundreds of nanoseconds or whatever, depending on how much clock's period you have chosen. So that is why I think they are becoming prominent. But as such, I think whatever you have done is correct, I guess. So,
okay.
It's fine.
Sir?
Okay.
Yes.
So, like, in the earlier class, you said that those who have 7 in their roll number will like face some problem in simulating. Like, so, like,
I said that just to make that character E, I mean complete character E. So then maybe that if you send that so-called code 141110, then it would look like a small t without that top segment, that is segment A glowing, right? So if you want to make that one glow, then I said that a tricky solution is possible. But if it is your roll number contains 7, then that is not possible because for 7, A and D are not glowing together. For all other digits, I think A and D, you will find that they are either glowing or they are not glowing. So A and D are going in unison, excepting that number 7. So if you do not have 7, A and D output, I think you can take from the same 7447 D output. So then A and D both will glow whenever D is supposed to glow. Okay, so that's
and like so like and when my display was showing 1, like before showing 1, there was like some transient output. Like for momentarily it was showing 0 and then it showed 1. Like is that okay? Like
when you said
yes, sir. Like before displaying 1, it was showing some transient output like 0. Like before displaying 1, it was showing 0 for some time and then it
sometime means it is not having a duration of full clock cycle, right?
No, not
that is acceptable because that will happen in simulator. You can catch that one because simulator step size is too small. In real life, I think because persistence of vision, that will not be visible. So we do not consider those spikes here, though there are mechanisms for synchronous design where you can get rid of those spikes, but right now whatever we're doing, I think that is acceptable.
Sir, I had a question.
Yes, yes.
So instead of the 7447, I have directly mapped the counter output to the A to F. So
Okay.
I could not blank the output between two numbers. So instead, I blinked the decimal output. Like between two numbers, the decimal output will be blinking. It is fine.
Yeah. Only thing is that I think from design point of view, whatever you have done is right. Maybe you require a little bit of design effort because you need to solve probably 7 Karnoff maps or 7 logical equations in that case. So have you done something like that one only, or?
No, actually, I found relations between those. Like not 7 actually. Like B and C were equal. A and
Okay.
F were equal in my case. So
But so method of inspection along with maybe a little bit of Karnoff map or
yes, sir.
whatever way you have done. Okay, that is fine. Only on, and I mean, so far as the design exercise, that is okay. Only problem if you try to apply that in a real, a product, then probably you are using ordinary 7.4 series chips for driving those displays, right?
Like one counter and directly map the through a combinational circuit to the A to G of the display.
So finally, the combinational circuit, maybe AND gate, NAND gate, whatever, that is
Yes,
driving
sir.
the LED
Sir?
display.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Just let me answer his question. So in that case, the problem would be the current rating of those LEDs. Typically, the LEDs for a normal glow, whatever current is necessary, the TTL IC won't be able to drain that much of current. So in simulation, it might be okay. Even I think in the lab, you can try that one out. But if you look at the specification, it will say 16 milliampere can be, it will be able to sink at a temperature, room temperature of 25 degrees centigrade. But if the temperature increases, then we have got some derating factor, etc. So for a commercial use, we generally do not prefer that. That means directly driving an LED segment from a AND gate. But as such, I mean, then we may require something like a high current buffer. Sometimes we use transistor, even if you do not want to use a full-fledged 7447 or 7446 kind of IC. But whatever you have done, I think logically that is correct. And as an academic exercise, that is, I think, fully acceptable.
Okay, sir. Also, like I have by mistakenly started from 1, the counter output from 1. So initially it displays 8. So should I change the entire thing or let it remain?
I could not follow.
So like the counter starts from 0 now. So I have done the calculations from 1. So it displays 8 from at the beginning. 8, then my roll numbers, and then again 8, then...
No, your roll number contains 8? Or?
No, sir.
No, then I think that might not be considered to be a correct output, completely correct output. So if
Okay,
possible,
okay.
just if possible, I don't think it will take much time.
Okay.
One of his friends, I think, who was asking some more questions.
yes, sir, yes. Sir, actually, sir, I made 2 circuits. In one of the circuits, I used the 7447, and the other I directly connected the output of the counter to the BCD, like 7-segment display. In the second part, we can easily display E, right? In that part, we
Yes, certainly, because directly you are driving the segments. Only concern is the current requirement in that case. But once again, as I told you for your friend's query, that as an academic exercise, this is perfectly okay, because right now the main intention is to check whether you can find out the logical expression, can share them, and so on. But the other aspects are also important, particularly when you are developing a product. So the so-called engineering aspects, that okay, how much current it is requiring and all. Okay, so maybe if you think about a final product, you need to either think in terms of having a 7447 or some kind of decoder, or you may need to have an intermediate transistor or some other current boosting mechanism. That's all.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, actually, a lot of us haven't been able to complete the circuit because it's taking some time for us to create it, since we have tests every day. This weekend, tomorrow, a lot of us have 2 tests. So can the deadline for the submission of the circuit be extended to next
So
week?
there is no deadline actually. I mean, that is why I have mentioned about this problem last week, so that you can complete even before your exam begins. So the time estimate is less than 1 hour. Typically, say to carry out 4 Karnoff map, it takes maybe 24 minutes or something like that. Even if you take 40 minutes and then maybe another half an hour of, drawing actual circuit. So in less than an hour, I think you can complete. So if I extend the deadline, that means once again I am interfering with your time for preparation. So try to complete it within 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. I think even 4 o'clock is not necessary because the problem is already clear, right? I need not have to explain the problem once again.
So
And,
actually, like some of our roll numbers are complicated because personally in my roll number there are alphabets after double E as well. So I'm having some difficulty simulating it.
What is your roll number?
19 EE3 FP28.
Okay, but what are the characters you will be substituting for them?
So for FNP, I thought I'll substitute with them 0 only because I can't, like, it's taken a lot of time for me to substitute like to calculate the thing for FNP.
No, I think you are possibly having a wrong impression that if you put 0, the logical expression will be correct. It is not true. So sometimes you find that, okay, to have some don't care state, it will be easier if you put some 1 over there. So whatever looks more like F and P, because there is no direct character for F, but if you just remember the other characters beyond 9, I think you must be having a list of that in every day. I think you are using them. So just look at that and choose anyone which looks, I mean, it might not be perfect F or perfect P, but at least have some resemblance with that.
Okay, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
So,
Yes.
Sir, you were it was just a small request. Like, if you extend a deadline, you won't actually be interfering with our test because after
No,
Friday we'll have entire time for the weekend. So that's why we were asking
No,
for.
if you cannot submit, then I am not closing the form. But as such, I do not want to officially extend the deadline because typically it says that, okay, other classes will go as per schedule. So try to complete it. How much time do you think you need?
so other labs we got holidays, so other labs were not conducted.
No, that I'm sure that, okay, if you say, then I think the teacher will be show-caused perhaps. Because it is a Senate decision that the classes will go on. Only, I think what we can do, we can reschedule the class. So if you give us some Saturday, Sunday, then we could have rescheduled. But that has to be done earlier. That is what I asked you last week. That next week is your exam. What should we do? So if you have asked me to reschedule, certainly we will do that. Yes.
What exactly we are expecting is that since we have multiple exams tomorrow and tomorrow is basically the last day for this week when we'll be having exams. So if you just extend the official deadline to Saturday itself, it will be enough for us to.
No,
Yes,
that I
but
cannot,
till
because
this
week. Test also and
then
lab
officially
also.
it is encroaching the exam period. Officially I cannot do it, but certainly, as I said, that I will not close the form. But official deadline is 5 o'clock today. And because I think most of them, that is why I have given the problem that, okay, you could have done that one even before weekend. Many people have completed by Friday or Saturday, I think, last week, because I've already mentioned. So you may, if you can spend 1 hour, I do not think that, okay, you will be preparing all the 24 hours or something like this. So at least in this lab hour, because the classes are supposed to be there. So at least if you can spend 1 hour, I believe within 3:15 you can submit.
So,
Yes, please. Parth.
hello, sir.
Yes.
So I had one question. Like, after drawing the K map, do we have to consider the don't care part, like the cross part, or we don't have to?
I do not get really your question.
So, after drawing the K map, the Karma map,
Let me understand. You are saying after drawing your K map, so when you are drawing your K map, then already you are filling it up with either zeros or ones or X.
yes, sir, I am saying that do we have to consider the X part, or we have to
Consider for
ignore
what?
that? So for like for minimization.
That is why you are putting the don't care parts. Otherwise, I mean, I could not possibly follow what you are saying, because if you do not consider, then what is the advantage and how do you write down
Like,
the
sir,
logic?
if we don't consider, then it is like 0, right? And if we consider, then it works as 1, right?
No, I mean, I do not have such a concept really. Don't care means you can put either a 0 or a 1. And it would certainly become advantageous in terms of minimizing the logic. Right. If you put
Okay, sir.
0, there won't be any advantage. Rather, the expressions will become more complex, because then you have to guarantee that for those states which will not appear, then also I mean, in case they appear, then also it should be 0. But you need not have to really satisfy those requirements because it is not coming at all, those states beyond, say, how many we said? 10 digit, 10 character. So 11, 12, I think those things will not appear at all. So there is no point spending some logic that will ensure that if such thing appears, then the output should be 0 because I don't care. That is why it's called a don't care state. So whether the output will be 0 or 1, you don't care for that. So logic will be minimized in that case. You don't care while you are combining those terms. You can treat them as 0, you can treat them as 1.
Yes, sir, got it.
So then I'm just sending the form. So those who have already completed, you can submit. And as such, that is why I'm saying that officially I'm not saying, but I understand your problem. So I'm not closing the form also. So those who have not completed yet or do not want to work today, because I think if you work even for 1 hour today, it will be done. So even if you do not want to spend an hour, then I think you can submit at your earliest convenience.
Sir, those who have completed after submitting, they can leave, right?
Yes, certainly. Actually, there is just one point I would like to mention. I mean, that is what I thought that, okay, otherwise I could have asked you that without coming to the lab class, you can submit also. That, for example, in this case, you are having several zeros in your roll number. I mean, those who are having last digit as 0 or 9 and 3 zeros before that. So then you may find that the display is remaining 0 for quite a long time. And
yes, sir.
it becomes difficult for a person to understand whether there are 2 zeros or there are 3 zeros. Okay, so for example, I think Ovishar or I think some of your friend was telling that, okay, he has put an LED blinking at clock rate so that you at least know that, okay, it is there, 0 is there for 2 clock period or 3 clock period. And I probably mentioned in the passing last time, I do not recall how much emphasis I put on that if it is possible to have a blank between 2 digits, but whatever you have done right now, I think that is not there. Probably it is just a 10 state, because if I ask to do that, then probably we'll think of some 20 states that every 2 numbers, 2 digits will be having a blank in between. But rather than that, can you, I have not really discussed that in the lab class, but just I'm asking in case out of your own interest, you know of any other mechanism of blanking the display and whether you can utilize that by a tricky mechanism. I often used to ask this question in the lab when you physically used to come in the lab.
Sir, can we use the RBI and RBO, those pins?
Yes, but in what way? It is just one single connection. I do not know whether it will work in the simulator, but at least physically it works, because there might be some problem with that open collector output in the simulator.
Sir, actually, we don't know about the utility of RBO and RBO, those pins. Can you also tell us?
Okay, so I don't want once again to overburden today, because many of the students, I think they also like to know and they want to leave early. Okay, so if you are having a manual, just I think go through that, then probably it will be just 1 or 2 lines you need to read. Otherwise, I will explain in the next day. Okay, if you do not have any problem. So please submit today's experiment, and then I think maybe in the next class, just remind me so that I can start with that.
So we don't need to do that blinking thing today,
No,
right?
not right now. Okay.
So
Please check whether you have received this forms link, and then you may submit also. Some of you are having a question.
So is it fine to have a 0 in front of a roll number, before the roll number starts?
But what about the blank? Is there any blank? Because it will be repeatedly displaying your roll number starting from the first character to the last character.
In my circuit, it doesn't show a blank, but it shows a 0 after ending the roll number.
No, but then the problem will be when I start looking at the display some midway of your roll number, then I may not be able to understand that, okay, where it ends and where it begins. What is the last digit of your roll number?
It's a 9.
9. So if you display 0 after that, then I'm not sure whether your roll number is, last digit is 9 or it will be 90 or something. or then once again I think one will follow. So
Okay, sir.
starting, so if possible, just convert it to the blank. I think that will not be difficult, right?
Hello, hello.
Yes.
Sir, actually, what is happening that when we start this simulation, then it is supposed to start from 1, but actually what happens that it goes to 0 for very little time and then goes to 1.
If it is not for a full clock cycle duration, it is acceptable.
Yes, sir.
That is acceptable.
Okay, sir. Okay.
And I do not know while simulating whether you have changed that unit to cycle, because if you keep the unit to ticks, then the clock cycle appear to be much longer, because only after 10 clicking into that single step, it will be taking one full clock cycle. I mean, by default, unless you change that pulse width.
Hello, sir. Can you use a mod 9 counter instead 10?
Yes.
Can we use a mod 9 counter? I mean, they are.
Mod 9.
Yes, sir. Number of digits is 9, right? Output.
Huh?
Output is.
Your
Yeah.
voice is not coming properly.
There are 9 outputs, right?
No, there will be
19E100.
There will be 10 characters. There will be a blank as well.
Yes, sir. Don't know.
Rohit was telling something?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
I'm saying instead of blank, can I make it a mod 9 counter directly?
No, then I think people will not be able to understand that, okay, where it ends.
Okay.
Because it will continuously go on. So
Okay.
That is why we insist on that, putting a blank. And then you can directly use a mod 10 counter also. That is another advantage. Any other clarification? Any other question? Otherwise,
Sir, for FP in roll number.
What?
Or FP roll number. FP in our roll number. What do we need to use?
Roll number?
19EE3FP18.
So I think some of your friend was also asking probably. So in that case, you need to find out 2 characters. Need not be beyond 9. Even sometimes some numeric character, for example, I can be replaced by 1 certainly. So similarly, you can find out whichever character out of those 16, I mean, I'm including blank also, resembles that F and resembles P.
There is no characters actually.
No, it will not certainly. For example, E also is not there. We said that, okay, T would match. So just to say that, okay, this I can, for example, even if it is partially, it looks like F, so that by lighting up more segments later on, not immediately I'm asking you to do that, that you can make it a complete P or you can make it a complete F. So you may think of it. You can write just a note on that, because there will be a comment window. And please check your mail whether all of you have received the link. Then those who have completed, you can just submit and leave the meeting also. And for others, I think as soon as you can complete, you can submit. I'm not giving a closing time for the form at this moment. Achha, I find some questions on the chat box. I don't know whether they're still in the meeting. Ajay Mishra, are you still in the meeting? No, probably left. And then another one from Rohit Kumar. Rohit must probably already asked that. Is there a blank necessary between 2 displays? So if you wish, you can log out and you can work for half an hour submit, or if you prefer to submit later, that also you can do. And those who I think have already done, I think probably they are now submitting. How many submissions are important?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, this is Dikvijay.
Pardon me?
Digvijay sir.
Yes.
Sir, do we have to check their assessment today? Do we have to do the assessment for this lab today? Or it will be...
For which? For today's experiment?
Yes, sir, for today's.
Initially, I thought like this, but since I think people are having exam and they are keen on leaving the meeting as soon as possible, so I think we can do it later, just like other assignments.
Okay, okay, sir. So can I also leave? Means, is there...
Yes. I will also leave after some time. I am having a undergraduate committee meeting.